Okay. Good afternoon, all. Welcome to DYDcafé, a platform to connect dreamers. I thought today I'll speak a little about DYDcafé, where it came from. So, passion meets purpose. That's our calling, and we strive to connect dreamers throughout the world. What we aspire to do is to build a network of social relationships by motivating and inspiring people through the stories of dreamers who have achieved their dreams, through the choices they made and the paths they were paved. So, this is the fundamental thought process where we wanted to start Divide Cafe. What we felt was there is a large majority of people who struggle to find a true purpose and live a meaningless life. I mean, they don't live a meaningless life. They don't live a meaningful life because they are not able to find a true purpose. So what we are trying to do here is we want to do something to enable these people who are not able to do themselves. So that's where DYD comes from. We want to give the necessary push in the right direction so that for most of the people, the situation it is just that push that is necessary so that they can take the first step. So that's what we are trying to do when we give this push to people. And when we continue giving these pushes, we think that this is going to create a ripple effect that will help these dreamers move forward and endeavor their dreams. So that is the whole concept or thought process behind the DYD Cafe. Now let me try to introduce our guest today. It's not easy to introduce our guest because I mean, initially I met Anish about a little more than a year back, and I thought he was a regular HR because we were consulting for the same organization. But then, as I started knowing him, I think he had done lots of things which I couldn't even think of. I mean, if you look at this list of things that he has done, he is a nature lover. What I mean by a nature lover is he goes to survey birds in various places, and I think he can recognize a few hundreds of birds. He's an umpire. He's a certified umpire. He goes for umpiring. He's an SHRM blogger. And he's also one of the top 30 influencers, Indian HR influencer in social media. He is starting up his second company. And his objective, he wants to enable entrepreneurs and business leaders in business problems by weaving employee experience, social media, branding, leadership, organizational communication. So this person is an amazing personality, not your regular HR kind of person. So I thought, why not request him to join us for this DYD Cafe? And to take over the next session, I want to introduce the host. Neha is a student. She is almost completing her graduation in psychology. And Neha, please take it over from me.
Welcome everybody. It is our immense honor to have Mr. Anish Aravind, one among India's top 30 HR influencers on social media with us today. So we'd like to welcome you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. It's a great honor.
I would like to start today's session by asking you about your journey. Your path has been quite distinct and rather unique from that of the majority of the people. It was quite interesting to follow your career path. It has been something that we've never seen before. Can you take us through the decisions that were made behind the switch in streams from your BSc chemistry to your master's in labor welfare?
Sure. Uh, Thanks, Vinesh and Neha, for the outset setting this up. I would have never, if it was not for Vinish's persistent efforts on this, because when I thought, in fact, I made a post also on this. I thought it was for anchoring the session that he was calling me. So then he mentioned that, no, I have a wonderful anchor already. So you just need to be coming in as a guest. So let me, and I really love the way you have designed this platform, the DYD Cafe, and it's a free flowing conversation. And that's one thing I love. I've really learned, and I'll try and bring in those aspects of how I keep learning from such conversations. Mine was a see it was in the 90s that early 90s that I did my 12th. 92 I came out of 12th, and as any kid in central Kerala, so I hail from Kottayam, would be doing. The natural path was either medicine or engineering. So that is the case. And in my schooling, I really loved biology and scored real good marks as well. And I not just the marks. I in fact there's a teacher of mine who mentioned that you should not take. In fact, you should go in for BSc agriculture, because I had a because I had a farm at home, so I could answer questions in my own words in my ninth and 10th, because I could see what farming practices are being done at my own place, and so I went away from the textbook thing for them. So biology was the thing, and as luck or whatever fate would have it, I could not write the entrance exam of Kerala. At that point of time, there was no common entrance. It was Kerala was separate, and All India entrance was separate. So I couldn't write the Kerala entrance exam at that 92 period, because my application, that's a whole another story, but we'll return to it some other time. So for some reason, which is a fault of mine itself, that I couldn't write. So my application reached there late, and I couldn't write. So the next course was to continue preparation, and then apply for again next year. So for doing that, the option is you get into BSc, and CMS College was the college in Kottayam, which was the famous college. So you try for. So I had about distinction in when it comes to CBSE. The grade in CBSE was I think 76% or something. That was anything above 75 was then distinction. So I could get a choice of things. So I got into chemistry. So that's how chemistry happened. And then the first year of chemistry, a lot of interesting things happened. And one of those things started in the chemistry day inauguration itself. I remember, I forget the name of the teacher who said it. He was the head of the department. He mentioned that, hey, we know that you all have done a arranged marriage with chemistry. It's not a love marriage. Because he knew that, okay, the love marriage would have been with medicine or engineering. So all the people are waiting. He knew that about 50% of them will go after 1 year. So he said, okay, now that the marriage is over, at least let us be true to the marriage. 3 years you're going to be here. So let us be true to the marriage. So it's an arranged marriage after all. So that's 3 years. So those things really, that is one thing which I remember from those things. And and so we had, so I started looking out for differences, because the teaching aspects and all went off quite boring from the first to second week itself. So we tried looking for other things. And college was very happening college. It's like at that year is when it celebrated the 200th year. So imagine studying in a 200-year-old college, and it was a huge honor to. My dad went to that same college, so it's a huge thing to be going there. And then I found that there are some teachers who outside of their normal teaching time, they started doing things for the students. While Vinesh was explaining it now, I could recollect a similar passion in one of them. There's a teacher, of course, his name I remember is Mr. Thomas Varghese. He was a teacher in our department. He started something called as the value education. Okay, so it was first I found it very simple because, and there is almost 150-year-old hall. It's called the Great Hall. So he put up a notice outside Great Hall. So Great Hall notice board is like kind of famous for people, famous. So it's not the regular notice board. So he kept it saying that there is, and it was also in the library. So these two places, I used to, one was on the road. The library, at least once a day, I used to go there. And I had befriended the librarian as well. So we used to have good conversation. So I saw this. So we went, and a few of my classmates went, and realized that this is so this gentleman, and for that moment onwards, I realized that what he's trying to do is to get people to instill some of the values in students, because they have, at that point of time, there was a lot of campus politics happening. There were, in fact, the second year was the time when that the murder happened in the campus. So it was in the 1993, there was a student who got killed. So in the political clashes that happened. So at that point of time, so value was very important. And he started, his methods were very different. So for example, one thing that really inspired or connected me to doing something different was he took us, again, volunteers. All these are volunteers. These are not like curriculum subjects. There's nothing will happen if you don't go to these classes, or these are not classes. It can be the college has a campus, even has a reserve forest inside it. So it's a huge campus. So we'll be sitting maybe in the library or in some or the corner of the campus or under a tree or something. And so he said that we are going to take you to a place. You're going to, and he took us to a home. This is like the let's say to compare for the viewers, it's like the Dharavi of Kotte at that point of time. So next to the Kodimata river, there used to be slums. It's not there now. That area is now, I think last 10, 15 years, it's all of them has vanished. But Kerala, I don't think have slums now. So we went there and we met this family. We spent about half an hour, 45 minutes with this family. That I think changed. Now looking back, I think that is one incident which changed the life. And I realized that this family of two children, mom and dad. Dad had gone for his work. He is a daily wage earner. And so one of us asked him, so how much do you make in a day? So he said 10 rupees. Now that was unbelievable for somebody who, so both my parents are teachers, were teachers initially, and then dad got into army, and then they came out of army and then did a stint with New India Assurance. So mom was a teacher till she retired. So the kind of pocket money, whenever I ask, it's not daily that I ask, but when it finished, it is about 25 rupees. This is 1992, 93. So here is a student, we are not from a, I would say, majorly rich family or something, but I would say teachers too, and let's say, so 10 rupees a day. And so the point that Mr. Thomas Varghese, the professor, wanted to say that you have a responsibility to the society. Because it is these people who are earning these 10 rupees a day that actually runs the society. If you now, I mean, even with the COVID, we all saw what happened when the lockdown was put in place, and the first week what happened. So we don't realize that it is it is on those shoulders that the entire country is running. So, but we tend to believe that it's the other 1 or 2% that is running the country. Actually, no, that is not the case. So this, but if there was a textbook that was taught to me and told me that, okay, this is how it runs, I would not have got it. So this is what got me into saying that, okay, there is some way you have to give back. And that is when the civil service thing came in. Okay, now there is a chance that, okay, let me go. And so that had a huge support from the family. Yeah, IAS is a very good thing. So now you should do that as well. So it was there was a dilemma. Okay, now should I do this or that? So yeah, but while studying for the IAS, civil service exams, prelims and all, so there was this Economic Times that I used to get a day after so today's edition I will get only tomorrow, because the plane has to come and to Kochi by afternoon or the evening, and then the next day it will reach Kottayam. So I used to go to YMCA to read this Economic Times. That was the only place you will get it. So while reading through, I got to know about IIMs. There is something called management course and things, and Nehru set it up for building entrepreneurship, right? So those are the things I realized, and I also realized a lot of people are not becoming entrepreneurs. They're all getting hired by corporate world, and they're all in the corporate world. Very few entrepreneurs have been produced by IIMs, although it was set up in the 60s, I believe. So so management slowly started coming in, and long story short, then it took me to the first time I cleared the entrance, and so in fact there's a lot of other things. I lost a year playing cricket and softball. So the exams, I didn't know a lot of basic information about how to write a particular papers. You can't cancel, you can cancel. All those stuff happened, and I lost a year. So that was the time I got into umpiring. There was an extra time into that. So August of 95 is when umpiring happened. So BSc chemistry and umpiring kind of, and cricket, of course, took me to umpiring. So the 3 years I was actually, there were classmates and teachers who used to tell me that actually this guy is chemistry sub and subsidiary and cricket main. So even if they find me in the class, they say, "Oh, this guy has come to class today. What happened? There's no match, so this guy is come in." So that kind of stuff. Everyone used to make fun even if I'm in class. Yeah, because the practice used to start at 3, so we'd be out by 2:45. So CMS College, huge impact on the way things have gone and setting the base. So I think that will give you a kind of a thing to start off.
Thank you. You definitely broke away from the conventions of a science student when you moved into the field of society-oriented approach. Like you started contributing to the society, and your entrepreneurial journey was. You also told us about that. Give and get is a hashtag that was popularized by you. So, what drives you to keep giving back to society?
See, it is. It came out of, although it originated in the CMS and that period. Then I did go through this, so that brought me into Pune. And Pune, I spent another year because I didn't get through to the final. The group discussion, I allowed everybody else to speak, so I didn't get enough marks to get through to the final rank that year. So because it's the first time somebody going out of Kerala, so I thought in 20 minutes, everybody else, you don't want to interrupt anybody while others are talking. So although I prepared and all this competition success review and all I've been read, and we knew what to be done, but it was like anyway, that year went off, so I stayed back. And that also, Pune as a city also changed. Pune had a lot of first at that point of time in the early 90s. Pune was the first city which was famous for putting up a sustainable model for living through vermiculture and all. The Pune municipal PMC did it. So those were things which connected me, and I played a lot of cricket in Pune while supposedly preparing for the next year's entrance. But what I was actually doing was every day evening, I ended up helping a coach who was there as one of the top two clubs of Pune. There were two clubs. It's like the India-Pakistan there, PYC Gymkhana. I don't know if they still exist. PYC and Deccan. So I got an entry to PYC to play cricket, and surprise, my cricket kind of took a different leap there. Although I left cricket and I said I will not play cricket, and I left cricket and went, and because I lost the year and all because of that. But it came back, and so till the time my entrance exam, I mean, the results were out, and I joined the Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies. I was playing cricket, and from that time when I stopped it. So during that time is when we realized that there are, if you contribute to some cause, you might not get an immediate return, but in the longer run, there are things that will come back to you in different. And what was popularized then was give and take, right? So the give and take I thought was very, very highly selfish. So you expect, if I'm giving something to Neha, it is my expectation that she is going to give something back, like today, like, or even yesterday, like kind of that level. So, but that is counterproductive because that misses the whole point completely. So I said, okay, but if you genuinely give, then it will come back. I have seen that in a lot of these situations. I may not be able to take one incident to prove that, but it's a mix of experiences. Like cricket has given back to me, like umpiring has given back to me. So everything, I think I've got more than what I have given. So each and everything. So give and get. I realized there was no hashtag like that. So while exploring social media, Twitter is something which excited me. I realized that not many HR people are on Twitter. So to me, it's like the story of the salesman. No? So somebody went to Africa and said nobody's wearing shoes. So there are very few HR people on Twitter. So okay, let me be that HR person. That is what I thought, and so from there it was easy, I would say. So that is where Give and Get came out, and in that Adam Grant also had a interesting influence because he was talking about givers and takers. So that kind of there's a book called Givers and Takers. So I'm not sure if that's the title of the book, but there's a TED talk as well around it. So so takers thing, while he was explaining, I realized it is that give and take thing that he's explaining. At least that's how I got it. So I said, give and get should be a better thing. There wasn't a hashtag, so be it. So that's how it happened.
You said that cricket has also been a part of give and get, and I noticed that it has been a constant throughout your life. Like even when you started pursuing a job in HR, it followed you, it came with you. So what would you say has been the impact of cricket in your life?
I see. I don't know if I put a percentage to it, but I think it's huge. It is. I'll let me explain this how it kind of came back, and it's a very, very. So it's my first job. I've joined Century Rayon, which is. So I wanted to start off in industrial relations. That was a thing. So I ended up not sitting for the other placements of all the consulting and other companies we came out. There were only 3 or 4 companies and placements were really bad. I mean, talking about 1999, 2000, that period. So the industries were not doing very well. So not many companies are coming in. So the placement team, which is again students, they wanted us to sit in. If a company comes and we have to make sure that all of us are ready, and everybody was forced to sit in all the. So I purposely had moved out of it. So the first company which came in for. I think there was a written test, so I cleared. Then they came back and did an interview, and I got the offer to this Century Run. So I said, I'm not going to sit for other companies, even even before that as well. These guys are coming in. If it's IR, I'll go. So I joined IR. This was 99 June. 6,000 employee company, textile industry, rayon yarn manufacturing company, and rayon tire cord. tire cord doesn't exist now because these are all, there was 2 plants then. And there were 2 plants which support by building the raw material for the main plant. So I was put in as responsible person, divisional personnel officer for these plants. So sulfuric acid, hydrogen sulfide, and maintenance. And there is a fire and hydrant. So there was in all about 800 workmen out of this 6,000 people, 6,000 workmen. So I was the personnel officer for those people. So and then slowly we realized that there was a cricket team which was defunct now, but I found out that Ajit Vadekar and all these big names used to play for Century Rayon. So the excitement increased. Okay, Ajit Vadekar used to play. So, and there were people who used to play for them. I found out there is this team. They used to get all the benefits of playing and all, but the youngsters were not there, who were really all the 45 plus folks were there. So then I realized that so because being in the HR team helped, so I could go and find out what the data was, and then I realized this Century Round being a very famous company, blue chip company in those times, Birla's, had sports quota recruitment. So I could go to our time office and find out who are those guys who are sports quota recruitment. So all that my profession helped me. So I connected with them, realized that there was a team, there was a volleyball team, there was a huge, and volleyball team, a lot of them were from Kerala, because Kerala was big in volleyball even now. Long story short, I realized there's a tournament, which is a very prestigious tournament, for whom, and we used to get invites every year to play for this tournament. So I found out that it is because the tournament's trophy is sponsored by Birlaji. So that means every year the invite will come, the team was not going in. So this was the opportunity, and I got a lot of support from everybody whom I've spoken to, the plant help. And lo and behold, what happened was that helped me get a huge amount of visibility about what I was doing in HR. And I had very good mentors there who used to kind of push me and throw me into a lot of seas and oceans then and there itself. So lots of things came into place, and the team so went on very well. The next year, very bad thing happened. The company's position was very bad. They took away the budgets that was coming into cricket. Now, that is when another opportunity, I would say, like looking back now. So we had a ground, but we didn't have a pitch there. So we had a very nice ground, which had very good grass and all. So the team was already set. Team need money to buy the kit for this year, because the tournament invites are come. We plan to play other tournaments as well. But I think it was 50,000 rupees or something. Yeah, 50,000 rupees we want to make. So I realized that we have conducted tournaments back here in Kottayam. So and we have played tournaments. So I realized that if there is and Mumbai, there are lots of teams who will play cricket. So corporate teams are there. So if the pitch is there, then we can conduct a tournament. So that means we can get more money. Possibly we will get maybe 25,000 rupees from the thing. So we will get at least half the kit we can buy. So the workmen, this is the amazing part. The workmen who, you imagine they are them. So all of us came together and we built the pitch. Long story. And we did a tournament and we got, I think, more than 50,000 rupees. And that tournament was a huge spectacle for the entire organization. Imagine 6,750 employee company coming together and doing a tournament and people coming. There were some 20 teams, I believe, participated. And it was a huge thing. And the company's head came in and did the final presentation. I was going through those pictures during the lockdown now. When in the first week of the lockdown, I went through all the pictures. I realized that it is all there at so cricket kind of gave me so I would take it as the additional role I had to get those individuals. Some of them are still there. In fact, on Facebook, they are reaching out to me. And one of the special events that I cherish in my life is the send-off that this team gave me after the first job. The first job I stayed about 3.5 years, which is unlikely at that point of time for a lot of management graduates, because a lot of them, everybody who joined along with me left in 1.5 years. So, so for me in those 3.5 years, I had about 3 or 4 roles. They essentially moved me across the entire span of HR. And in fact, the interesting thing that happened was when the offers started, then the seniors only told me, now it's time for you to go, and you better look outside. And there was a meeting that was held to help me finalize the 2 offers I got. Can you imagine in the HR team coming together and saying, hey, Anish has got 2 offers. Now, which offer should Anish take based on what we have seen of Anish? So I've been very, very lucky to have had seniors and team members and friends who've kind of okay. I guess somebody muted me. Okay, Neha, you're also on mute, I guess. I can't hear you.
I'm muted now. Please go on.
Okay. No, I think I had closed it, so I don't know till which part you had heard me. So, did you get to hear the offer part and all the P&A team? Okay, yeah, that's all I had. So, all that I believe it's because of the connect that cricket helped me there. Because see, it is not like a 300-400 member company. This is a huge 6,000 employee company. If an HR person has to get a recognition, you need to do something more than HR. There is no way, and this is this is a Birla company. There is always a limit to what you can do within HR as well. Although, of course, because the company is going through very bad times, we could try a lot of different things. That's also, I think, I was lucky because of that point, because it was a blue chip company struggling. I think the share price was around 26 rupees when we joined, from the high of some 10,000 rupees. So, all of us were keen to do something different, and that phase helped. And 3.5 years flew. In fact, a lot of apart from cricket, in fact, I restarted badminton because of that.
Oh, no.
Can you hear me?
Your video, yeah, you're back.
Okay, I think I got a call from another number. Yeah, so another game which helped me again, and which I now see, my kids play badminton now. The way I got connected to badminton or reconnected after my 10th standard was thanks to Century Rayon, which had a badminton court which was built for the national tournament in the 60s or 70s, and that was lying vacant. Nobody was playing, and me along with some of my mates started playing, and then all the senior officers, everyone joined. And initially, the company used to give us shuttles to play, the feather shuttles. So then later there was a control, but then so I could play with some of the state level players there. So that really reconnected me and got me much deeper into the game. We won the doubles tournament in the intra company, and we're not talking about, it's like a kind of an info park kind of tournament, which almost 600-700 participants. I don't think even now in a company like InfoPark you would have that many participants coming in. So one company itself there'll be so many people. So it is. So first job was a huge connector, and again there was a lot of things I could give back to the people there. Is how I felt. The workmen, they were. My assignment was to get back people who will lose their livelihood because of alcoholism, drug addiction, and prostitution, and also that was one of the reasons to. I started off by the objective was to reduce absenteeism, and the absenteeism reduction. The main causes were these 3 or 4 cases. So we ended up getting into the lives of those workmen, family members, and trying to solve those problems for them so that they could work. So that was, to me, I think that was some of the deeper level HR that I could get in. Very lucky to have been exposed to some of those areas. Very good team members. The first boss I had, I have to mention Mr. C.T. Deshmukh. He was the one who gave me all the freedom. He connected me, and he and his team was to push me to talk in Marathi. I could understand Marathi, but couldn't talk. But these people would always speak, make fun of me, and talk in Marathi. And the cricket team also helped because a lot of them were so I could understand and connect to them. And although I persuaded myself not to speak back, but I could understand. I can still understand and speak Marathi well. So I think the language really helps connect to people. So I could connect, and they could see, I guess they got some value in those, and lots of friends I've made in the first. So that's how, all thanks to cricket.
Yeah, you have clearly been an all-rounder for most of your life. We are interested in knowing how did you manage to balance all of those goals simultaneously?
See, it is. See, what is now? So I'm going to take some of my own. Say, I'm a student of, researcher within brain science now. So I'm trying to link some of those while answering this. This is what I found out afterwards, and I don't think it was a properly planned event that I ended up getting in. So now when I look back, my school days, I had been exposed to, I think there were only 800 students in the entire school. So and there were 2 PT masters. So for the PT masters to get things done, we had everybody had to play all the games. At least the guys who used to play. So I got into more than one team games at a time. So cricket was there, football was there, doubles badminton was there. So volleyball was also there. So all these team games ended up connecting me to a lot of diversity that existed within the school itself, and the house competitions. The sports is taken care of by another teacher. A third teacher will come in for elocution or music, song, and so that means you end up meeting a lot of teachers whom you otherwise would have not met during your class curriculum kind of thing. So, and I was lucky to have studied in the same school for like 13 years, from 79 to 92. I was in the same school. So that really got me, and it was only from the school that I ended up getting into the district team of cricket, and then that from where after 10th I got into official coaching of cricket, and that's when so it was all these links to some of the bases. And again in college, nature club also happened. So thanks to, I think the value education folks were the ones who pulled me into nature club. There were people who used to come for, or was it vice versa? I don't remember. Was it nature club first and value education second? So that means inadvertently I got a lot of connections with a lot of diverse set of people. So they were the ones who used to position, and they will pitch and say, hey, I'm going to do this. Do you want to join? That kind of thing happened. So the volunteering or the propensity to volunteer was higher in my case. Or another would be, so my filter for that filter kept me in a unique position to kind of identify diversity better. So and inadvertently, I mean, now I'm actually going back and trying out what has happened. I'm trying to make sense of it. But while going through this, I don't think I realized this was what was happening. So that has been the case for say if I now, that is the old days. Now if I look at 2014 onwards, when how I got into birding was through photography. I had gone for a photography class and that happened to be taken by one of the very famous, very, very unique people. He's one of the only person in Asia at that point of time who was invited to this International League of Conservation Photographers. I didn't even know that there is something called as a conservation photography. So, by the way, this is a UN body. It comprises of national geographic level photographers. So he was our mentor in that first time. So he was the one who, again by serendipity, I would say, one of the better pictures I shot was of a bird in the Thekadi Lake, Periyar Tiger Reserve Lake. So I was asking, what is the name of this bird? So he said, this bird, yeah, this I know the name because I know some 60 birds' names. And he said, this bird is, this is Balan Madhavan I'm talking about. So we call him Balatan now. So Balatan said, this bird is crested serpent eagle. So slowly, I never realized that this would take me to a journey that will end up in me and my family now knowing almost, so I can identify around 300, 400 birds. My boys, the elder one can identify around 100. The younger, who's about 9 years now, he can identify about 20 to 25 birds and species. So I had never thought when a friend called me for this photography exhibition that, or this photography class, that I would end up getting into birding. And through birding, I got into something called citizen science, which I feel is again giving back without anything. You don't get anything. I mean, you feel that you're actually giving back, and not the birding that you talked about, bird surveys. We've got into this huge project called Kerala Bird Atlas. Again, thanks to social media, because it is through Facebook that I learned the bird names quickly, because the typical way the birders learn is through books, and that takes about 10 years or so to learn all these names and behaviors and all. But the Facebook groups allowed me to connect to about 100 birds in under 6 months with their names, their behavior, because this group called Bird Watchers of Kerala and Indian Birds and all, they end up putting almost 100 pictures every day along with the names and all. So it is social platforms helping you to connect to a lot of like-minded but diverse people. So when you go for hobbies, just like those nature club days and the value education days, when you go to value education, you are not meeting your own classmates. You're meeting those, I would say, specially interested people from different batches, let's say literature, across batches also. I mean, so there are juniors. So all these typical demarcations about junior, senior and all, everything goes away when you have a common hobby. So, and cricket was the base for that. So everybody, oh, this is the cricket guy, and this, and the CMS had a huge ground. And when you are playing almost like in certain matches, almost let's say 25-30% of the college comes to watch you play. And we were lucky to be one of the top 5 college teams in the state at that point of time. So all that kind of put. So it was. I can swear it was not a planned move. It was all. But over the last let's say 5 years or so, I've started seeing this pattern, and I'm kind of trying to put it into a structure now that sometimes I win, sometimes. So that's how the companies and all happen. I hope that helps. Yeah.
Your interest in bird watching. Pardon?
Okay. There's no. Is your video? You've closed the video, or is that I'm getting a different? Anyway, let's go on. I mean, the sound is fine.
Okay. Your interest in bird watching has been quite captivating. One of our dreamers would like to know where they can see your work.
Okay. See, the work, the best thing to see it is they've come out with a status of bird status report for the entire country 2-3 months back. It is there was news coming out, so we were contributing. There is nothing like you will see only my work. It's a work of over, I think, thousands of birders across India. So I'm part of them. My own work, I would say pictures, yes. And I have over 3,500 bird lists that I've made. A lot of these things. So the passion was again to create people who could do more bird lists than I could do. So that was the whole idea. So within Kerala, we have been able to do that. I'm hoping one or two of them will be listening to this as well. In fact, so I remember that. So I found that US was the one who was churning out the top 10 birders who was documenting. So in 2014, I had put a post saying that it will be in Kerala itself, or maybe in India, we should be able to beat that because we have a huge population, much higher population than US, and much more diversity in terms of habitats. So the getting those people, and I think in 2018, long story short, we had 2 people from Kerala who were in the top 10. In fact, 3 people from India, rather, all 3 from Kerala, who were in the top 10 in the world. So it was a huge thing. So it's a huge pleasure for me to see that happening within, let's say, 4 years. If you ask me, did I do anything directly for that? No, I didn't. But did I contribute? Yes, I did, and I keep doing that. And that's the interest again, giving back. And even this last month, I'm keeping on creating platforms so that knowledge can be shared to people. So that is what. So Facebook and some bit of Instagram. I think Facebook is where a lot of my pictures are posted on my profile. Some of them are public posts, so you can search for the name and you will find out. Again, warning: these are not very good pictures and all. These are just record shots for documenting those birds, so that there was a project. I don't know if the viewers are aware of using artificial intelligence to find out the names of birds. So if you are a new birder and you want to find out the bird ID, you have to ask a person or an expert. So using artificial intelligence, if you have 50 to 500 pictures of a bird, then you can, by use of an app, the app is called Merlin. The app can, if you put a picture, then it will tell you the name of the bird. So some of the pictures that these birders take go into creating of this database. So I've been tweeting and writing about that, so more people, because I don't think my pictures are good enough other than for record shot. But and now I have a lot of pictures which I need to upload as well. So there are people who upload more than 4,000 pictures in the last 2 to 3 years onto this platform without royalty. So so that is the kind we want to. So we want to increase the type of people who will do more give and get and not give and take. So that's the intention.
Thank you. I hope that answered your question. You mentioned mentors. We would like to know what impression have your mentors left on you?
I spoke about Deshmukh sir, who was the. See, I don't want to call out names because a lot of these people they will get embarrassed and they might not even because not many of them know that I am considering them as mentors. They're very good friends. I would like to keep them at that. So what they have done, with highest respect to everybody, some of them I'm sure will end up listening this later on, is that they have nudged and pushed me into areas where I would not have gone without them. I mean, whether it was Thomas Verghese sir in the BSc chemistry days, and I think the person who got us into softball, which is a new game, and that is John Phillips sir and Roosevelt sir, who were the physical directors at the CMS college. Lots of teachers in my chemistry. There is Murli sir. There's a lot of. I mean, some of those names I don't recollect because of this whole cricket thing. I would recollect more things about cricket from CMS College than the chemistry classes, including my classmates' name at times. So all those people, even last week, and it is beyond just the age barrier. So some of the better learnings that I have come from people younger than me. There is a member of my HR team who connected me to WhatsApp as a platform. I don't know what I would have done in my consulting without having such a platform like WhatsApp. It came out of a team a problem that I had given them. I was in fact very angry with the team that day. There was about 6 members, I believe, at that point of time in the team. All of them HR and admin thing, and they were not talking to each other. I realized they were not talking to each other, and they were redoing stuff and wasting time. So in our weekly call, I said, "This is like crazy. You guys are not." And then, so I said, "You figure out a problem, figure out a solution, and come back." And the youngest in the team then came back after a couple of days and said, "Hey, we have found out a solution, but for that, you have to do something. You have to download this app." So then I got furious. I said, "No, what the hell? You mean I've asked you to solve a problem. You are giving me another job. So I'm not going to do it." So then, luckily, they convinced me that you are a social media person, and so you should be able to do this and all. And then they kind of tricked me into downloading it, and lo and behold, the problem got solved because everybody was on this group. And that I think at that point of time, WhatsApp had only 12 people who could be added in a group. And essentially, it was a discussion forum when WhatsApp was launched, and everybody knew what the other person was doing. We could know whether the message was read or not. And so, if it was not for that team, all of them were younger than me, I would not have connected to that then and there. I mean, so mentors, there were many. Beyond age, I think. There are still mentors. I'm looking forward to getting more mentors whenever I get, and I'm lucky to get them.
Okay, you spoke about WhatsApp. From not knowing much about it, you became one of India's top 10 HR influencers on social media. What do you have to tell our dreamers about the concept of deep work, and what are your thoughts on depth consciousness?
Okay. See, social media for me was the one which took me to the possibilities that depth exists. So I'm really thankful to those early movers within social media who helped me to get into or fathom those areas which I would not have otherwise fathomed, especially Twitter. I did not have a huge following on Twitter. I remember for the first, I think from 2008 is when I got onto Twitter. I didn't really understand what was happening. But I ended up following people whom others suggested that we should follow. There were lists there. There were, and luckily for me, it was some of those people like Gautam and Ranjit Menon and a lot of these people I had connected on Yahoo groups in the early 2000s. When so internet was one thing which has changed. So it was for me. It was welcome to see the familiar names in those on Twitter, and Orkut was the first one. So Orkut and Rise.com and all those ones. And I could then gradually progress as those mediums came and went. Like some of them went and some of them died. Like the first search engine I remember was the one I tried was AskJeeves.com. I don't think it's existing right now. And somebody told me that there is this thing you can ask any question, it will answer. So in 97, the question I asked it was, what is my age? That was the question I typed. It was in Pune. So, and I was surprised that I got 9 sites, which if you key in certain information, it will tell you your age by, it's a simple thing. But imagine in 1997, there were people who made such websites. It was mind-boggling for me. And then I realized that this is something that you need to connect to if you want to grow. And that has got me to the level of, first, if you want to go to depth, you want to first believe that the depth exists. If you don't believe it, then you will not pursue depth. So I think internet and social media in particular connected me to a lot of unique set of people, thinkers, if I may call them out of respect, who are not in it for the PR or the branding value. I mean, I separate these two types. But who will get into conversation, who will share without who like Mike I said who would understand the give and get part of it. So internet connected me to a lot of such people, and see, I was warned by a lot of people not to spend time on the internet. You will get you will get hackers will kill you and all those kind of stuff. No, your family will have a trouble and all dangerous stories was fed to me. But luckily, my mentors and the time I got to spend on the internet proved all those things wrong, and that made me believe that. And now, once I started believing that there is depth possibility, I started seeking that in anything that I find. Okay, there is a guy who's talking about leadership. Okay, there has to be leadership depth as well. Who's the guy who's talking about leadership in depth? Who's the guy who's talking in the superficial level? So that is and you can find that pattern pretty easily if you're on the internet. That's what I felt. And forums like LinkedIn, Quora, and I think Twitter takes the cake. Twitter, because it's not that intuitive, that itself is it should be a kind of an entry barrier, I think. And people who are able to connect at least to 500 people on Twitter who would come back will itself take you to a very, very different level of depth. And depth, of course, will give you a lot of clarity. So that's what I would be as a suggestion to all people who are looking at anything around career or job or whatever.
We actually have one question regarding that. Bharata is an engineering student, but he's interested in management and HR. He wants to know what should he do to pursue this interest.
Okay, first you have to check whether the interest is genuine enough. So because I've been helping a lot of people who come to me as mentees, a lot of stuff times the interest is not genuine. So first you let's say assume that you have taken and you pass that test and you say that is a genuine interest. Next you go and find out through the internet. I'm sure you will have access to internet. As any student now in India will have access to internet. Find out areas you can connect to in your unique personality. You need to have a definition for management. Okay, start with that, because once you pass out of management, that is what is going to be asked to you as a first question. So why did you take management, or why did you take HR? So if you don't know why you're taking it before you take it, the chances of you finding it to those 1 or 2 year course is kind of remote, because there's a lot of things that you will be pushed to do while a structure is going on or the course. And you will not know what hit you. By the end of this 2 years, somebody will ask you this question and you will say, oh my God, I didn't realize. So start off, if you're an engineering student, start off by exploring these things. What management is, because management itself, by the way, is going through a renaissance right now, the last 10-20 years. A lot of the popular writers are missing it. So they are still writing about the 1960s, 70s stuff on the Taylor scientific management based stuff, which is outdated now. The management what we want to do now is for the most current one is post-COVID now. Now post-COVID management will be very different from what was needed earlier. Now, if you don't know or if you don't have a personal definition for management, the first hurdle that you will get onto, you might end up, you're getting into the top institute, you really don't need all this. You might still get through it. Like for me, I passed 2-3 entrances and I reached to that institute. It was the top 20 institute in the country then. But I don't think I learned a lot of management in those 2 years. It is only in those maybe 2 to 5 to 10 years of my career that when I realized that there is a different path there, then that there is something that you can carve on your own. and you can focus on results. So my take is go on that line starting now. Don't wait till you become a manager and then start figuring that out. And this is available. It is all just some Google search away. So if I can share some of those tips and links and all to this person who's asking the question after this call, if he's on our WhatsApp group, I'll be glad to connect.
I hope this answered your question. We have one more question. Wants to know, does HR run business or is it the other way around? Like, what are your views on that?
Okay. See, let us not bring in one function. See, it's a business is run by a combination of, I would say, human and machine and all those aspects. It depends on the type of business. Say, manufacturing process, machines and the technology and all play a lot of stuff. For knowledge-centric industries, people alone will be, let's say for an IT or a knowledge company, 90% of the cost would go as salaries to those employees. So each of these industries will have a different tinge in terms of. So I would steer clear of this structure-based thing, saying that HR versus. In fact, that will waste a lot of time. It will end up in us wasting a lot of time. We will have to look at why is that business existing and what all can be done to get it right. And there you will find that there needs to be collaborations that needs to happen to get that result. And that is not done only by HR. Maybe HR or is better placed to force those collaborations. But again, but if you're looking at HR as a policing department, then you're missing that opportunity as well. So, and after being in HR for about 10 years or so, I started calling it actually not as HR, because I realized that HR has been itself got a lot of negative meanings, and the moment you say you're in HR, you are looked upon as a police and some guy who's all policies and some guy who will not respond after taking your resume and those kind of stuff, and make sure that your performance appraisal is all done badly, and that's how the connotation is. So in fact, the company, when I became the HR leader, the company and the culture convinced me to call it by a different name, and that really helped. And in all the places where because name helps in setting the brand and the expectation. So that is what I would bring in. So it's not just HR alone that runs. It's the businesses are unique. So you start from that angle and you will find results, is my take.
You've told us about the uphills and the downhills of being an HR. What would you say have been the challenges you have faced throughout your journey, and how did you surpass them?
Challenges. Okay. So in the first 9 years, there were 2 stints of mine. See, one of the dream companies for me was GE. Primarily because GE used to have a scholarship in our college then. GE, I think it was Scott Bayman, who was the CEO of GE, who used to come to our conferences in the college in Pune. And he had announced in one of these national HR conferences that he held, he announced a scholarship. So GE, in fact, that was the time I realized there's a company called GE. So that was a dream thing. And you asked about challenges, but I am looking at it as it was those challenges that I faced in one such company that ended up in me getting into GE. So this was in a 2-year period. I had worked for 2 companies. In a third and fourth job. Uh, Actually, no, second and third job. Those are not. There was a lot of combination of reasons. Again, a lot of personal events. I had got married in between, and for my spouse's career options led me to move from one location. There was a choice of location that got me to, and in fact, so the challenges on the job mostly wasn't I don't think it was it was a very peculiar time. I would not blame anyone else. It's just that the company was going through a major change, and they wanted to look at people who were old timers with the company, and that's natural. And I was just about under a year, so that was a challenging phase. But thankfully, it was in Bangalore, and that period connected me with a lot of good people whom I'm still in touch with. I ended up playing cricket as well during that time, and it came up to a situation where I reached G. So it is from G in 2005 that the entire career changed. In the first role in G as well, I faced some challenges. But with all respect to the people who managed my role and my career within GE, I think they did a fantastic job, now that I look back, in not telling me anything negative about the way I was faring, but told me all the positive things that I could do if I moved to a new role, and they moved me into that role. And from there, it kind of, so if it was not for some of them, I wouldn't have been in this kind of. Although this to happen in your dream company was a huge, downside. So you end up getting into G, and another thing also happened. G at that point of time, I ended up joining G and leaving Genpact, because it was the period in which Genpact became, G became Jekis and then became Genpact. So it was that 3-year period. So we used to call it as the best of both worlds. So starting off with G, it was a branding exercise. So that whole period, although challenging, now that I look back, it gave me opportunity to get into branding and understand branding as well, and connect to a lot of people who came from a different background. A lot of people at that point of time were from sales background. So I helped helped me connect to that set of people. They think differently, because unless you empathize with their thought process, you can't connect with them. And people who think in the quality terms, black belts and others who helped me connect to a lot of diversity that was there in them. And so now that I look back, I think it's all opportunities and not really challenges. But if you that's the only thing I can put in as a challenge now that I look back.
Okay. We'll take one more question from the viewers. As an HR influencer, what should be the management mantra in the post-COVID world that institutes should now focus upon?
Institute, did you mention?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming that the question is coming from a student. Can I assume so from the answer?
Geeta, you can go ahead and confirm, and you can ask the question personally if you want to. You just have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, Geeta, please go ahead.
Yes, I have already done my MBA, sir. I am asking this question for the students who are actually preparing right now, like to the people who will be going for jobs, who will be pursuing the HR, MBA in HR.
Okay, so the institute point of view or the students' point of view? Because I think institute point of view, the students should not be worried because they can't really influence a lot of institutes now. I can give some tips on how the students should approach. So if that, because I don't think I'm in a position to influence the institute's approach, because that's a majority of that is a business. So unless I run my own institute, I'll be very ill-placed to kind of influence.
Yes, sir, definitely. But then just a basic idea on how should an ideal management institute should focus upon, like in the changing scenario, because they definitely have much to do.
Okay, so my take would be remove the structure that they want, they have instilled in management education now. Management education should have less of a structure and more of life involved. So, in fact, there is a classmate of mine who is who, while doing his during my class in Pune, he said he wants to start a school, and in the last 5 to 7 years, he's been running that school. So it is such. So his methodology is based on experiential learning. So that kind of experiential learning methodology can be put to use in management schools. There are some cases that has happened, but a lot of them have gone around the PR because they'll get a lot of PR first. So they go after that and they stop refining that method. That's the danger of that. But the methodology is very effective. I think my institute did a lot of that. So we were very lucky to have gone through that because the institute at that point of time had students doing almost everything, including placement brochure presentations. I remember going and getting 5 companies to campus to hire my seniors. And those people who got their jobs from the companies we got in, and to get those 5 companies, we had to go to at least 50 companies in Mumbai. So me and the marketing batchmate had gone. We had fun going around meeting people and learning a lot, talking to HR managers who was handling placements, and inviting them to our campus. So it was experiential learning. And we didn't have permanent faculty at that point of time. So can you believe about an institute putting it up on their brochure now that we don't have permanent faculty? That will be the death knell for them. But that was the case. We had maybe less than 2 permanent faculty, and we had visiting faculty who came from the industries nearby in Pune. So when somebody was teaching us performance appraisal, he or she was taking examples directly from what he faced in the previous week from the shop floor or the appraisal cycle that was going on. So that was a huge, and we also had something called an internship, which used to do every day. So we used to go to companies. I ended up doing internship in 2 companies in Pune, wherein you are immersed into the ocean, and then you are coming in and studying these subjects. So I think if in 97, 99, some institute could do it, in 2020, definitely more institutes can do it. There are better methodologies that can be, but the base remains the same. So, okay, personally, I feel management time is too late to do that. I think from 8th standard, the school curriculum should include some of those things. And that is where my friend Parminder is, what he's been trying to do. In fact, Wipro Foundation has been helping him a lot. His passion is to teach teachers in the schools, starting from principals. So he believes that if the principal, because that's where the leadership level is. So if the principal is somebody who can understand some of this concept, then he or she will spread those concepts in the school. And between the 8th and 12th, if these concepts are understood by students, they will make better career decisions. They will not do like what I did. And I mean, because if I had known that it was, say, between my 8th and 12th standard, if there was something called HR, or that you don't need to worry about going after cricket and all, you can do all that together, I would have done a much better job, I think. But no, it was the majority of my teachers said no to my going. In fact, thankfully, it was my parents who didn't say no. Of not, I don't think my mom or dad had said even once not to go and play cricket or badminton or volleyball. It was just once that they said, okay, yeah, you have an exam tomorrow. So we had a final on Sunday. So Monday was the exam. So my dad said, make sure you write the exam. He didn't say, okay, you don't go for the tournament. We had to go for this tournament to another town. But he said, you come back and do this. So that was the case. So that was my take on management and school education.
I hope that answered your question, Geeta. Due to time constraints, this is our last question for today. You recently launched a second startup after SS Consulting. You are also the co-founder of Mars, which is Marketing Analysis Research Solutions. How's the view from the top? What would you like to tell the dreamers about chasing their goals?
So Mars was the fulfillment of a dream because SS is I'm a co-founder. It's not so my ex-boss is the core-founder. So so he's been a huge mentor as well. So my intention is to staying with him that kind of got me into SS Consulting. So, but Mars again happened because one of my good friends whom I used to play basketball with back in college days in CMS College, kind of we got together once and we were talking about. We were fooled by these digital marketers in our roles. Digital marketers who came and said, again, they were the ones who've been using the internet in a very negative fashion because a lot of things that was also possible. So we decided that there is a way to use internet and the whole base marketing concepts in a manner that can enable businesses and in a very result oriented manner. And this is what ended up in setting up of marketing analysis research and solutions. And we want true to our function because the other two partners are from marketing and sales background. So, and we've realized that in the corporate world, marketing and sales and HR don't go well together at all. They fight. So, but we've also seen areas where when they come together, the beauty or the result that can happen. So we are trying to. So Mars is a culmination of that effort to get those knowledge to companies, those set of knowledge, and using internet as a platform to enable such things. And the view is that I think I'm very, very optimistic about whatever can happen from here, because I think we don't have control over the events usually. It is our response or the choice of how to respond to those events that matters. And from that perspective, you really don't care whatever happens. You stay on the course and you end up. Some of those philosophies, like when you said give and get and all this, if you need to personalize those. You don't do it just because Vinesh is doing it or Anish is doing it, or you heard somebody else doing it. You find out a version of you of that for yourself, and it is possible. I mean, see, stories that click only help you to give you that it is possible. So you need to have a touch and feel. No? These are people who have touched and felt this and are eager about to do this again and again. So, and there are such more people. I mean, see, whatever Vinesh will try, he will be able to get you maybe 50 people. But there are, in my life itself, I would have seen maybe 500 such people. And a lot of them don't know how to talk. So they're very shy, or they don't know maybe that there is a reason. They would not think. In fact, one of my best mentors had written a book, and in 2014 I wanted him to because I was a CHRO in InfoPark then. I said, I can call 100 people to come to your meeting now. Can you come and do this talk on the book? He said, no, I'm not interested. I was like, so it made me very humble at that point of time. I was a bit saying that, okay, I'm a CHRO, I can bring 100 people and all. But he said, no, I don't want to come. So some of the best knowledge in that book is still out there. Not many people, maybe around 25,000 people have read it. So that is the case. So be conscious of, and be very, so events will happen. So how you respond to that or your choice is what matters. The results will. So in fact, from a recent webinar, I have actually got a formula which I modified. So E is events, C is choice or the human choice, and R is result. So E plus C is equal to R. So the webinar person told that E plus O is equal to E plus R is equal to O. So I've changed it. R for me is response is actually the base of response is your choice, because brain has to first process at the base, and then the set of choices, one is your response, one is seen as your response. The base of what happens before response is the multitude of choices that will go through your brain, and then your brain will pick one of them. So if you are able to for want of other word, manipulate that choice itself. So you put in such a manner that if we know that, okay, we say, there are certain people we'll say that, okay, if this guy is doing this, he will only do this. That is a confidence or trust in certain other people. How do they get there? They get there because I'm telling this about somebody else. I can say that about Vinesh or Neha or anybody, somebody else. But that comes out because of some patterns that I have seen from you, right? So, and it is not rocket science. I think that is where, and even rocket science is easy these days. So, it is like Googleable, and you can build rockets. So don't make it seem difficult. It's all easy. So.
Thank you, Mr. Anish. I would like to ask Mr. Anish to conclude the session. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Neha. Thank you, Anish. It was very much inspiring, and I have noted down a few points which I thought I'll summarize at the end of this discussion. One of the most important points that I noted down is we have a responsibility to the society. When you contribute to a cause, it will come back. I like the way you brought all the 6,700 employees together in an organization through cricket. That is a very powerful message.
Yeah.
And not many things are planned.
Yeah.
Serendipity happens. Yes. I don't know whether that grammar is correct, but that's how I would put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you talked about your mentors, how they had influenced you, and what I liked is you told that there are many mentors that they don't know that you consider them as mentors, and reverse mentoring is the key. I like that concept. And you also talked about internet and social media connected you to a lot of interesting people and perspectives. That was a very insightful point. And deep work matters. And you talked about, for any profession, it is very important to answer your why. What is your personal definition of something that you really want to do? So you're answering your why is very important for a person to be successful in their career. And it is not about HR versus others. It is more about collaboration. Collaboration is the key. Experiential learning is what the management institutes should consider as the best approach to teaching their students, rather than giving the regular teaching kind of sessions. And I liked your last E plus C formula. Definitely, being a choice architect, this resonates very much with me. Okay. Obviously, it is the choices that make us.
Yeah.
And it is the choices that I think you are here sharing today, because I don't see you as a regular HR. I see you as a HR person who has created the life that you want through your choices. So thank you, Anish. Thank you, Anish.
Thank you,
Neha. And thank you for all my wonderful participants, the dreamers. I know we took a little extra time, but I think it's your support that helped me bring wonderful people like Anish in every meeting. Next meeting also we will have very interesting personality. So till then, thank you from my heart. We will meet next week, same time, same day.
Great. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Anish.
And Vinesh.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone. Great
Thank you.
catching up with you all.